there were 8 of us children, and playing out in the woods and the fields a lot. I'm sure our parents were afraid for us and just taught us that all snakes were bad snakes and you don't mess with them.
Well, you know, a lot of people think the only good snake is a dead snake, but you can't, you know, it takes all those, all of a sudden you say, well, where'd they all go? They're gone, you know. Just like any kind of endangered species, you take it for granted until all of a sudden it's almost too late or too late.
They're very interesting to just have, to watch. They have personalities. I know that sounds odd, but they really do. If you have 2 or 3 together and you watch them over a period of time, you know, you can see where they're different in the ways they act and what they do. But they're very interesting. They're beautiful in their own way, at least to me.
If you haven't heard of her by now, then you obviously don't know longtime Ada resident Nancy Duncan, otherwise known as the Snake Lady. However, if you're curious about snakes or have an affection for these reptiles, chances are you know about her and her longtime love affair of hunting the venomous creatures.
I laugh and tell people I should not die of hardening of the arteries because of the adrenaline rush. I guess everybody has their own way to seek that out, and that's one of mine. It's to hunt the snakes and hunt the venomous kind. It's more challenging, I guess.
If you get into like if you come into an area on a good day and there's say 5 snakes laying out, and boy, you go to work trying to catch these snakes, but when you get that last one in the sack, I mean, and you know it's kind of got that, your heart's beating, you know, and maybe you have a little tremble to you, you know. You go, whoo, take a deep breath, because it's definitely a rush.
Nancy's husband, Jerry, often accompanies her on the snake hunts. He readily admits that he was a little skeptical the first time he went along as to Nancy's ability to catch the deadly snakes and what that part of her life is all about.
I never had hunted snakes before, and she told me she hunted rattlesnakes, and I thought, yeah, snake hunting, let me see this. And then I saw what it was all about. I was really surprised, I really was. Because I thought, well, this woman hunts snakes. I thought she might go out there and go, oh, there's a snake, but it wasn't like that. She got in there and made a hand, I guarantee you. I didn't know what to expect. I took a gun, you know, and boy, I was going to be ready. And we come into this area with a lot of rocks and everything, and the next thing I know, there's just snakes laying everywhere. And she's picking them up, putting them in sacks, and she's got me holding the sack. And I thought, boy, I'm afraid to even walk, because I thought these things are everywhere.
Nancy and Jerry largely hunt the snakes right here in Pontotoc County. For close to 25 years, Nancy has hunted the most deadly snake in North America, the western diamondback rattlesnake. The couple also hunts a smaller rattler, the timber rattlesnake, as well as cottonmouths and copperheads.
Well, over the years, when I first began to hunt the venomous snakes in '79, I was acquainted with some people who owned some property in various areas around Pontotoc and Garvin County that had rattlesnakes on them and got permission to go in. It's basically been a process, though, of walking out the land and finding the dens. It isn't like I had someone who said, yes, you can come and hunt our property and yeah, I'll take you out and show you exactly where to find them. It's a matter of doing a lot of walking, catching the snakes at the right time of year so that you know you're at a den site or not. And that period of time is usually from about October through February or March. The colder months, which people think is unusual, but the reason those are better months is they have gone to the dens, and on a nice day, if it's 60, 65 degrees and the sun's shining, they tend to come up to the surface of the den and lay in the sun to get some heat. And if you find snakes laying around an opening in the rocks or something during that time frame of the year, then you found a den. Don't get in that grass back there till I show you. See anything over there, hon?
Nancy and Jerry usually attend at least one of the numerous rattlesnake roundups that are held across Oklahoma each year. It was at the annual roundup in Warrika, Oklahoma, that Nancy had her first taste of how dangerous these snakes can be.
I was in a snake sacking contest. That's part of the Warrika snake hunt is they have a snake sacking competition. You can enter, and what they do is on a flatbed truck turn 3 rattlesnakes loose and time you on how long it takes you to get them in a tow sack, and you get a hook to pin them with. You don't get a catcher, you pin them and pick them up and put them in there. And I had one in my hand and didn't get him close enough behind the head. He turned around and bit me. I did get a serious envenomation. The snake bit and hung on and injected the venom. It was a small snake. It was only about probably 24 inches long. My hand immediately began to swell and a big black knot came up where the bite was. Both fangs had gone in. The pain, the best I can liken it to felt like someone was driving a red hot metal rod up my arm as the venom moved up my arm. Within 24 hours, my arm had swollen to over 16 inches and swelling up into my shoulder, and after about the second day, it was around 22 inches in diameter in my arm. Rattlesnake venom is hemotoxic. It affects the blood vessels, breaks down the veins, usually causes extreme necrosis, which is rotting of the flesh, bruising. My arm turned kind of yellowish, but I was very fortunate that I didn't have the serious necrosis or anything at the bite site or even in my arm. I was in the hospital in Warrika for 5 days with that bite. I came home and I was in the emergency room here with serum sickness from the antivenom. But a couple of weeks after I got home and began to really recuperate, I decided I would go back snake hunting to see if I could still do it or if I had developed a phobia where I just wasn't going to be able to. And I went and caught a snake that day, and it's just something that I enjoy, and it's hard to explain why I continue, but I didn't develop any extreme fear, just maybe a healthier respect for the snakes and how important it is to be extremely cautious.
I'm a worrier about a lot of different things. I'll go, what if? And Nancy says, I'm going snake hunting. Are you going with me? She don't say, do you want to go snake hunting? She just, and I don't like for her to go by herself because I know she could handle it, but I'd rather be there to where if there's a problem, I can help her with it. And that's the deal that I feel about it. I feel anxiety, and I know if I would let her go by herself, which she does occasionally, that I would be worried all the time she was gone. You get used to it to a certain extent, but you can't take it for granted. You've got to be serious about it. You know, you can't just go out there and stumble around. You've got to watch at all times, because it's like anything that you do that might be a dangerous sport. You've got to be ready at all times, because you never know. If you just fail, well, there won't be a snake over there, and you step out and one will nail you.
While most people would probably never hunt snakes again, Nancy pressed on and was determined not to let a little thing like a venomous snake bite keep her from doing what she loves to do.
Yeah, come on, baby. Come on. Okay.
Good-sized snake.
Yeah.
Where is
I don't know.
you gonna sack him first?
Well, I was gonna, yeah, but I was gonna pin him and pick him up, sack him. Decent. The other one's smaller.
Tell me about that sucker.
In later years, Nancy and Jerry don't hunt snakes for reasons they once did. Now they hunt in areas south of Ada where the snake's habitat is being destroyed. A large ranch in the Fittstown area is being quarried for stone. Like many creatures, the rattlesnakes are feeling the pinch of urban sprawl.
Yes, the habitat is being destroyed. As a matter of fact, where that quarry site is, when I first started hunting, that one ranch was some of the best bins on that property that I had found were where they quarried it out. And I think that was part of the reason we decided to begin to relocate the snakes to a conservancy area where they'd be protected for later generations. And you know, when I'm 80, I may still want to go hunt snakes, and I need to know there's some out there to go hunt.
The rattlers are kept in a large box while Nancy and Jerry are on the hunt for additional snakes. Once the time is right, they transport the snakes to their new home.
There's a nature preserve where we can release those and they're protected. And there was a time initially I did butcher the snakes. We ate the meat. It's a good meat. I tanned the skins. I've made hat bands and belts and that type of thing. But in more recent years, we began to relocate those.
What we do, we try to make up for the people that go in there and just, you know, do it for whatever reason they do it, you know. So we catch the snakes and we release them to where they can be protected and all.
Nancy has led a charmed life, from restaurant owner to working with the Department of Juvenile Affairs for the state of Oklahoma. But it's the snake hunting that people recognize her for the most. One thing is for sure, Jerry knows who she is.
They say, "You're married to that snake hunter, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, sure am."